I love Philomena Cunk. I think the show is hilarious. I think Diane Morgan is amazing in it, but I have a bone to pick with the way the show is produced and directed. I think they're making a critical mistake, and I think if you want to make work like this, you should do things a little differently. Let me show you what I mean. Cunk on Life is on Netflix. Watch the show before listening to me so I don't spoil any jokes by talking about them. Link below. I also want to say thank you to my patrons. This channel's been going for a year now, and the fact that these people have responded by supporting me, that means more than I can say. You can also support me by watching my films and buying my books. Links to all that in the description as well. My latest feature documentary, Charlie's Electric Car, is coming out this year. I haven't got word on exactly when it will be available, but soon. You seasoned writers out there already know this, but I'll say it anyway. Good characters are complex. They win sometimes and lose other times. They generally beat the bad guy in the end, but it generally costs them dearly to do so. This is just straight storytelling stuff, but it's also true as the host of a comedic history show. My issue with Cunk, as presented, is that the character wins too often. We don't know who's making this choice, whether it's the talent, the director, production team, executives, or a combination. But it's clear that the production often insulates itself from the reaction of the people they're interviewing. Here's an example. Cunk is interviewing Brian Cox, who is no stranger to doc-style shows like this. He's made quite a few. He's got a sense of humor. He knows exactly what he's in for being interviewed for Cunk on Life. Jim Al-Khalili is the same, I would say, which means later on, when he's appearing annoyed by his interview questions, he's acting, which is fine because the result is funny. But the big laugh line at the end of this Brian Cox segment, which made it into the trailer, is this bit.
Brian Cox, Professor of Particle Physics at the University of Manchester.
Can I call you Brian, or do you prefer Cox?
Now, as a preface, I think this is dumb for two reasons before the main one. First of all, it's a lol gay joke, which is lame. And secondly, Brian Cox has probably heard that one at least once a week, his whole life. But my main complaint here, the thing that I think any of us looking to make similar work should all avoid, is that the show cuts away after the Cunk character drops this line.
Can I call you Brian, or do you prefer Cox? So join me, Philip.
There are several moments like that throughout the show. They let the Cunk character say something outlandish, and then they cut away. This is a huge mistake in my view. The thing that makes stuff compelling on film is often not the thing itself, but the reaction. Now, mind you, this is dangerous because what if the person you're interviewing does nothing or says something that's not interesting? But cutting away like this, I think, shows a self-conscious aversion to conflict that ultimately detracts. Anyone can look like a god of snark if the production cuts away before we see how the snark landed. Take the scene from the first Borat film. Cohen's Borat character is pushing these women by saying uneducated, offensive stuff. At the end, he goes even farther, calling one of the women pussycat, but then the production shows the women walking out.
Listen, pussycat, smile a bit.
All right. That's it.
Okay.
I'm done.
We're finished. We have to leave.
In this small way, the show gets to be cheeky and push boundaries in the interview, but it also allows the interviewees to push back. They get to demonstrate that they will no longer tolerate him. I think this is a critical difference that lets us enjoy a character who's playing ignorant on purpose, but also see that the character suffers recrimination for being that ignorant. Think about some of the moments between two ferns. The question could be intentionally dumb, but the interviewee gets to respond, and we sit in the awkwardness after.
You shaved your head for V for Vendetta. Did you also shave your V for vagina?
Pass.
Now, the reaction we're looking for could be positive too. Watch Martin Short as Jiminy Glick interviewing Bill Hader. Yeah, the Glick character is dropping bangers, but the funny part is Hader's reaction. He can't keep it together.
Bill Hader, it's not really a star's name, is it?
No.
No, like Leo DiCaprio captures you.
Yes, that's
but
true.
But Bill Hader sounds like a guy who would do Inside Windows. But you've had an interesting career, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
I don't know a great deal about it. I see that you haven't been through hair or makeup, so that was a choice.
Look, I think we all love Diane Morgan's work in this. She is brilliant. Charlie Brooker's involved. I'm a fan of his from way back. My biggest complaint on that topic is that we haven't seen a spin-off show from Barry Shitpeas. And that, and we haven't gotten another series of perhaps my favorite TV series ever, Touch of Cloth.
Pull him off the case.
He's already fingered McCratty.
I don't care if he's fingered Condoleezza Rice. I said pull him off. Or do I have to go next door and pull him off myself?
I think that Cunk on Life could be better if they allowed Cunk to take a little heat back from the people that she's prodding. I'm 100% positive that Diane Morgan could smash those moments. But regardless, positive or negative, we should always see the reactions. Brian Cox or Jim Al-Khalili could certainly carry the weight. After all, they're both the non-ironic versions of the Cunk character. They literally do what her character is figuratively doing. And if they're already acting offended anyway, the show's writer could hand them a few lines without telling Morgan what they are. The show could be creating conflict for itself. I suspect the Galifianakis team did that on Between Two Ferns. I mean, there's no way on earth that Richard Branson wrote this for himself.
How much do you have, money-wise?
How much do you weigh?
I don't understand.
£3 billion?
Some sort of fat joke, I guess.
If you're making something like this, let your interviewees be smart and funny too. Let them rough you up a little bit. Let them win sometimes. I think your production will be better for it.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, like and subscribe, and maybe jump on the Patreon if you want to help me make more. And if you want to talk about comedy writing with people who are trying to do it in a constructive way, we also have a Discord channel.